Hey, difference makers. So, you cannot elevate your performance if it's misaligned with your purpose. Today, I want to spend a few moments talking about the interconnectivity between performance and purpose. Because I've been on this saying all year that another level requires another lever, and that lever isn't on you, it's in you. For you to elevate the way that you do what you do, it is not so much about improving just your skill, but ensuring that your skill is aligned with your will. Performance and purpose are so interconnected, and when they're not, we show up transactionally. We show up just going through the motions versus bringing the emotion. We kind of just check the box, check the list, and maybe we get some rewards, but the truth is we never really get fulfillment. And it's so critical for us to understand that if we're going to elevate our performance, it is going to require that we don't just do things to do things, but we do things that are truly aligned with our purpose. I believe that when there's misalignment between purpose and performance, in that gap between purpose and performance, dissonance is formed. Dissonance is the disconnect between head and heart. Yes, maybe my head knows what to do, but my heart is not aligned with why I need to do that specific thing or show up in that specific way. And in this day and in this age and in this time where it's so easy to focus on performance, I want to encourage us to understand that the only way to achieve true fulfillment in your life is to ensure that you are aligning your performance with your purpose. I've heard so many people talk about the power of authenticity, but if I was to define authenticity, I would say that authenticity is really true alignment with your assignment, true alignment with your purpose. And I believe most of us struggle with our performance because maybe we're doing the what, but to some degree we have discredited or even diminished the why. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the why because I also believe it's so easy to look at the why that you have believed to be your why, showing up every day and committing to that why. But maybe you don't find yourself operating from conviction. Maybe if you're honest with yourself, you're like, I kind of feel like there's something missing. Like I'm showing up out of duty and not out of desire. And I want us to remember that the absolute worst life to live is a half-lived one. I believe the scariest life to live is somebody else's life. And so there's what I call your actual purpose, and for some of us, your inherited purpose. Your actual purpose is the thing that you were uniquely designed and or created to do. If you're an organization, it is the reason why you exist. And very easily, what we could do is we can inherit what other people see on us at the cost of igniting what's actually in us. An inherited purpose is tricky, really, to discern the difference between inherited purpose and actual purpose, because inherited purpose can produce rewards, but actual purpose produces rewards and fulfillment. You see, this year I want to challenge you to go a bit deeper, to understand if everything in your focus, in your purview right now, is to strengthen the very skills that you have, is to perform at another level, is to elevate your performance. That elevation may only come by way of aligning your purpose with your performance. I don't want us to go through this life thinking that the why that we have embraced is our actual why, without going on the journey of self-discovery through self-awareness, through seeking and through growth, to understand that the things I'm really going after in the unique way I was uniquely created to go after it are the things that are aligned with my actual purpose, not something that I've inherited from someone else. I think it's so interesting. I'm always fascinated by the story of David, and I took my son to watch the movie David recently. And one of the scenes that really is significant to me is when David stepped into Saul's camp after he had committed to fighting Goliath. And one of the things that Saul and his court decided to do was to try to put Saul's armor on David's structure. They tried to put what fit Saul on David, and really out of good measure, out of the right reasons, they wanted to protect David. But when they put Saul's armor on David, it swallowed him up. Because what was meant for Saul was never meant to fit David. And I believe that if David went into the battlefield wearing Saul's armor, he would have been defeated, not because he didn't have the heart or the skill to defeat Goliath, but because he was overwhelmed by carrying something that was never designed for him. Could your overwhelm be coming from the fact that you're carrying something that was not designed for you? And have you invoked the courage that is necessary to truly discover what your actual purpose is? Or are you settling at good enough by just saying yes to an inherited purpose? Saying yes to what others see on you based on their own experiences, based on their own perception, and sometimes based on their own limitations. You see, limitation can be wrapped in a gift box of protection. Let me explain that most people in limiting you are not trying to hurt you. They're simply trying to protect you. But sometimes man's protection could truly cause you to diminish or to even some degree deny the alignment, the purpose, the calling that's on your life. Not to put her out there, but I remember at one point in my life, I told my mom that I was going to leave my job to pursue this journey of impacting lives. And I remember the conversation she had with me, like, are you sure? Are you sure that you're going to walk away from something that is certain to pursue something with a great level of uncertainty? And I have such a respect and love for my mom and the way that she views life that I had to stop for a minute and really ponder. But you see, to her, it was uncertainty. But purpose is one of those things that the world may be uncertain about, but the person who's responsible for birthing that purpose cannot necessarily explain what they can only feel but not yet see. Or let me say it a different way. It's like they see it internally before it is manifested externally. And I still remember walking away from that conversation with my mom, feeling to some degree worried, as if I was doing something that was different than the norm. And then I remember a few years after that, my mom watching a video of me walking in my purpose. And I could never forget these words. She said, "My son, this is what you were born to do." We got to be so cautious not to assume that because people are giving you advice or insight, that they're giving you the advice or insight out of a hurt place, out of a broken place, out of a bad place. No, that purpose is for you. That purpose can only be received by you. And sometimes until you respond, the world will not reward. So don't spend your time being bitter in conversations or with people who are unable to see what can only be seen by you giving your yes. I want to talk about purpose today as we round the corner, not just in encouraging you to analyze your life, analyze your heart, analyze your journey to make sure that the purpose you are truly pursuing is really your purpose, really your why. If you're a team, if you're an organization, whatever, that you're committed to your assignment versus inheriting the assignment that others may have seen for you. Here's why that's so critical, is because you cannot talk about purpose and not talk about problems. I want to talk about 3 principles this morning, 3 key points that I want you to remember in this journey of living out your purpose, and you may need to write this down. Point number 1 is that purpose exists because problems exist. This is such a simple but significant principle, that the only reason we have purpose is technically because there are problems to be solved. I've always said it this way, that a problem is just purpose in disguise. There is a need, there is a gap, there is something that you are designed to fulfill that usually operates in proximity to you. But the challenge with purpose is that even though it's in proximity, it is usually hidden in a problem. And oftentimes, if we are wired through a fixed mindset to run away from problems, we will unknowingly also run away from purpose. I'll say it this way, and maybe you need to write it down, is to reject the problem, is to also reject the purpose. And so what problems exist within your world, within your life, within your community that bother you? Can I say it this way? That if it bothers you, the solution may be in you. You are usually provoked by the problems that you were created to solve. So this is such a significant shift and a perspective shift, because it is shifting one's perspective that allows one to reignite their power. Power and perspective go hand in hand. Whenever you feel like you lose your power, you're really just losing perspective. But family, I want you to hear me. I want you to listen to me. That for purpose to exist, problems must also exist. What problems are staring you in the face, pounding on your door, provoking you? That's simply an opportunity in the disguise of an obstacle. The only problems that really exist, in my perspective, is our inability or our unwillingness to see the purpose in the problem. Here's the second thing. Pursuing your purpose means you'll face problems that come from going against the usual patterns. Let me say this again. That after you make the decision to say yes to your purpose, it means that you'll face problems that only come from going against the usual patterns. When you say yes to purpose, you say no to patterns. Let me say it a different way. That to say yes to the purpose is to reject the pattern. And when you go against the pattern, when you go against the current, when you fight against the tide of norm, you will experience challenges. Sometimes those challenges can show up as isolation. Sometimes those challenges can show up as doubting. Sometimes those challenges can show up as financial areas or financial times that are hard for you. But all of these things are an indication that you're just swimming against the pattern. But it's so interesting that the only way to create a new path is to go against an old pattern. Let me give you the third one as we wrap up here. The most important thing to understand about purpose is that purpose challenges you to become who you're truly meant to be, which, my friend, can feel like reinvention. I believe that the purpose usually shows up before the person realizes who they must become in order to live out that purpose. So much of the journey from that point of having the conversation with my mother to this point, and every single day, is a constant becoming. Becoming the person who can not only walk out the purpose, but really becoming the person who can grow into the purpose. The purpose is usually bigger than you. It's bigger than how you see yourself. It's bigger than your resources. It's bigger than what you're currently facing. And so sometimes those challenges that you feel, those growing pains, are just the pain of reinventing yourself, shifting from what you used to be to what you need to be in order to unlock your purpose. So I want to give you an action step here. I want to give you a question to introspect on, because I truly believe that introspection creates the environment for transformation, because introspection done in the right way will produce revelation. Here's the question I want you to think about. What problem do I feel called to solve that's truly mine, not just what others expect? Let me say it again. What problem do I feel called to solve that's truly mine, not just what others expect? That question may require some digging, may require some searching, some seeking. But trust me when I tell you this, it is worth it. Because in that seeking, you'll not only find the answer to your unique purpose, but you'll also hear the voice that ignites the courage in you to act on what you may have been rejecting. So for you this year, elevating your performance may just be connected to aligning your purpose. I'm Jovan Glasgow. And until next time, stay empowered.